So let's hear it from the man himself, administrator for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, who's tackling these fraudsters head on. Dr. Mehmet Oz, sir, insane what you guys keep uncovering that the Democrats say never happens.
Carl, as you just saw, there's a lot of animation in the administration. It's an all-of-government approach. The vice president, who was tasked by the president to go out there and make sure that we have a anti-fraud task force that works and pulls all the levers that are possible to pull to make sure we stop these bad guys from taking advantage of our most vulnerable, is doing just that. So we've got the Department of Justice and FBI. We've got Treasury doing forensic accounting. But specifically at Health and Human Services, we are now delegating the ability to take action to CMS, and so we can move in even more quickly. And we're doing something that's really important. We're not letting the money leave the building. And that focus is critical because we can stop tens of billions of dollars from going out the door. I mean, we are stopping more money from leaving this building that I'm in right now than is the GDP of many countries in the world, because we're taking proactive steps to not let the fraudsters get at this money. But there's also times when we got to go out there and make sure the states realize that an all-government approach includes them. They've got to help. So in particular today, we are deferring payments to Minnesota and California of $1 billion.
That's
now the reason
crazy
for that is that we're seeing evidence of fraud just looking at the raw numbers that are too great to explain without asking a few additional questions. Let's take California as an example. The rate of growth for in-home services, which are things that you would do for your family for free normally, like, carrying the groceries upstairs. The rate of growth of those services in California is twice that of the rest of the national average. So if every other state is half of California, we got to ask the question. Like, it's our job. What is going on in California? If you can't explain it, we're not going to pay you.
Well, and that's the other thing too. Is like, I think like you had said in a month or so ago that like 1/3 of all hospice was coming out of LA County. But there's another thing too. This is like you always say, everybody is like, hey, look, dead people are receiving benefits. They're like, give us a specific example. Today, you showed that there was a dead person on the rolls for payment. Roll this.
As an example of a documentation gap is charging us for care you provided to a deceased person.
Yeah, a deceased person. They always want specifics. Well, here you go. How many did they need?
Well, it's not just how many examples, but how many people were dead they got paid for. We're going to stop about $5 million of payments to California because of the dead people that they were paying for. Again, why are we spending for healthcare expenses in California on people who have already passed away? It's, same in Minnesota. A couple $1 million also in Minnesota that we're going to pull back because they're charging us for people who are already deceased. These are just examples of how messed up their billing systems are. I'm not saying all the fraud is dead people. I'm saying the fact that you have, in just these two examples, $8 million going to pay for dead people's health care defies belief. Like, how could your accounting work that poorly that we would be forced to call you out on that? But those are the small numbers. Carl, look at what's going on in California with undocumented immigrants. People aren't registered to be in America and get health care services.
Illegals,
that federal
yeah.
tax dollars are going to illegal. So we have now taken action stopping another $200+ million just this quarter. We've now passed $2 billion that we have withheld from California just for illegal immigrants that they were charging us for, undocumented individuals. They've already paid us back $1 billion of it, so they're not even arguing with it. They're giving us the money back. But if you live in California, you should be upset, because if we're getting federal dollars repaid to us because we were falsely billed for illegals living in California, that means you're paying for it in California. You should be up in arms.
Yeah, but the other thing too is Democrats are refusing to cooperate with you guys. I don't understand. You've got California, you've got all these blue states, New York and whatever. They're refusing to cooperate to audit any type of fraud until you catch them, and they're like, oh, yeah, it caught us anyway. Like, who's going to jail over that? That's what we want to know. The average American household pays, what, $20,000 in taxes? How many hundreds of thousands of households are footing the bill that's going to, like, Mogadishu?
Yeah, shockingly large amounts. And the question we should be asking ourselves is, what kind of a human being steals from the poor, steals from our most vulnerable? But Carl, I need to answer your question very directly. You should be, and everyone is now because you asked the question, thinking, why would a governor allow fraud? And I'm going to tell you straight up, it's not a flaw for a lot of governors. It's actually a feature. In New York State, it's called Medicaiding it. Literally transferring a state expense to the federal government. Now, let's be crisp about the meaning of this. If you're the governor of California or New York or another state that thinks this is okay, and you could get your unemployed individuals into a jobs program for Medicaid by, let's say, paying them to carry groceries upstairs for their family. Again, something you should do for free. We're going to pay you for Medicaid dollars. That means you have less unemployed people. And here's the part that really bothers me, and we just talked about this last week in California. They are unionizing these employees. People are being paid by the federal government, are getting unionized by state unions. And those unions are using those tax dollars to fund politicals in those states. That, to me, is political patronage. That has to stop. We just uncovered that. And then there was a great report last week that was talking about the specific numbers. But we're talking about a massive transfer of wealth to unions who are going to fund the party they like, which happens to be the party that's willing to tolerate this fraud.
This is the type of stuff that makes people want to dump tea in the harbor. But Dr. Oz, you're one of the good ones, sir, and I want to eat popcorn when you perp walk these people. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, come